Hey guys, how's it going? Well, here is part 4 of my Tamiya Fox build. Again, this is the tribute one to my father, and so I've been live streaming, and the first section I recorded and posted it, but get going pretty good on doing it now. Give me just a sec. I pull up uh, the video so I can kind of see what you guys are seeing on my computer, so that's why it's kind of weird at first to make sure that you guys are getting good angle, good quality, and all that. So, anyways, as you can see, working on the Fox, and today we are working on the transmission. And depending on how much time we do, we might get into the rear end and start putting the rear suspension arms on and all that. This is the transmission case, and then the arms will mount onto here on each side, and then this whole section is going to be attached in like this into the or onto the chassis. So we are that one. That. Need any of those. All right. And looks like we are going to finally get to open up another bag. Haven't done that in quite a while. So let me adjust this up a bit. Hopefully that's a little bit better for you guys. Hopefully able to see a little bit more. I was told that I tend to hold things kind of close to me, so that's why I adjusted it the way that I did. So, anyways, in bag C. Actually, do it the safer way. And actually, before I get started, I'm going to blind you guys real quick, because I can tell that my screen or my lens is dirty. Much better. Okay. All right, so let's see what we got in bag C. It looks like it could be a slipper pad, but I don't know. We will have to find out. So, small bag of screws. Looks like there's some bushing type things in there. I want to say they might be for the shocks. Kind of hard to see, but the copper or brass colored pieces in there, I think they might be for in the shocks. Some nuts, some pins, a few C-clips. There's a weird piece in here that I think is going to be for the motor, but I don't know for sure. It's kind of a odd shape. I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of got two pins that look like they could lock it in. All right, in this one, we've got some drive shafts, axles, that type of thing, and also the pinion for the motor. So hopefully you guys can see that okay. And several other screws, some pins. I'm guessing some of these pins are going to be for the suspension arms and mounting them. Some big bushings type things, collars, kind of like the small ones here. There's some really big ones in here. I have no idea what they're going to be for. So we'll find out. And it looks like it's going to be a shock tower, possibly. I don't know if this is carbon fiber or what kind of material. If you look close, it does kind of look like it could be a carbon fiber almost. So I don't know. We will find out. So, starting out, we are going to need those. Actually, you know what? I just now remembered. I had just shown it back in my earlier video. So why not use my own example? It'll actually make it pretty smooth. I'm getting all these little tiny pieces everywhere. Okay. And debag also. Bad term. Okay. So let's use these first. That's going to be any better, but try to keep you guys focused on the main thing instead of distracted. So I've got some nice shiny axle cups. Comment in the thing what these things are called. I'm brain farting right now. So these two are similar but different. Each one is different. They have flat spots, so they're kind of keyed to what is it they're going to be going on. Then this one has like an extra little pin in it, which is kind of weird. So this is the one with the. Oh, no, it's not. It's that side. Okay. So for this one. Okay, and we are going to need kind of funny. A guy that's blind on the right side puts all of his tools on the right side so he can't see him anymore. All right. So it looks like we are going to finally dig into these ball bearings. There are actually a couple different sizes here. So I'm not cutting out the bushings yet. I haven't seen nothing for those as of yet. But what I am trying to do, my scissors are not cooperating. Is I don't know if you remember when I first started that I labeled my tray in here. I don't know if you can see them. I labeled my tray so that they can be seen easier, help to keep it organized. So that's what I am trying to do. Fortunately, my scissors didn't work, so I got to go redneck doing it. That parts bag C. tape it into my divider. Just like that. Okay, so hopefully I won't need that again. Okay, so ball bearings. They feel pretty good. They feel smooth, which they should for being new. So I'm going to put it in. Actually, right in there. This through, and I'm kind of holding the bearing in there as I put the shaft in to make sure it doesn't come back out. So that fits in there nice and smooth. Then it says one of these blasphemy things. And if you know me, you know what I'm talking about. These C-clips, these are actually a lot bigger than the ones that we had on another part in here. I don't know what it was. Something on the front end, though. I know that. So these ones are much bigger. So hopefully they'll be a little bit easier to deal with. Okay, so that one's in and feels good. And now on that side, be careful when you're looking at the directions also, because the halves are different. This half has more of a bulge on it. And so double check when you're looking at the manual, because it'll have the sides in the manual. It'll have them in there kind of like this in the picture. So it can be kind of weird. So make sure you're getting the right one in each side. That bearing, that goes in. Other clip. All right, there's that. So now it looks like it's needing parts F as in Frank 5 and D as in David 3. So that's part B. This one, part D. D3. That one. Hole goes up and down. Sticks into the back side. Okay, this little tiny piece that goes in back here, it does go in one way or the other. So do not force it. It should just drop right in if you're getting it to go in the right way. Let's see, F5. Let's see. Glad I didn't decide to throw this one away, because that's the other piece that I need. I was just looking and thinking, well, I think this tree is empty, so I think I can throw it away. Good thing I hadn't yet. But it's a good idea, especially if they're a little bit bigger like this. Don't throw these away until after you're done, just to eliminate the chance of accidentally throwing one away that you might need. So save these until you're done and then throw them away. So all right, and this one. I don't think this is going to be directional. Doesn't look like it is. But it goes down there in the bottom. Now it's probably hard to see black on black, including my shirt. I wear black because it hides all the grease and all that, but it shows all the hair for my dog. Thanks, Taffy. So there is those. So that is 19, is that step. So 20, that's going to be getting into a bunch of different things. Looks like we're going to mainly be using one side, looks like. Wow, really? Come on. Screws are stuck in it. They're stuck in so tight that they won't come out. There we go. All right, because I don't want to risk messing them up. So, of the brass sleeves, 2 of them are the same, 1 of them is different. So, note that. And then looks like we're going to be using the pin. So it looks like the pin is going to be going in the center. And the bigger of the colors going over that and that. Now we can start throwing gears in. Well, I wouldn't throw them, you might lose them, but we can start sticking gears into it. All right. So there are 2 gears similar sides, I believe, or similar shapes. Overall, I believe these are going to be kind of the outside differential acting gears. But be careful because one has an extended side on it where the other one doesn't. So make sure you're going to put the correct one in. And according to without it in and press it over the shaft or the other end of these. I forget what they're called. The things that we put in the previous step. So put those in, and then the thicker brass is going to go in over that. And it looks like it's going to kind of seat down into there. So, all right, all these. Scrolled a bit too far. So there should be little pins. 4 here. They look like they're going to be used to put these differential gears in. Make sure that's nice and smooth. And with it being gearing, you really want to make sure that these are nice and smooth, because anything that's there could possibly catch and screw something up. Okay, so I'm going to be doing 3 of these pins through there, and then looks like they're just going to drop into this bigger gear. There's no notches or anything in there for them to be able to kind of lock in. So, but it is saying that we are going to use a little bit of grease, so it doesn't get all over my fingers. Be careful with this. Might not be a bad idea to use gloves if need be. So I'm going to put a bit onto each gear. So when we put that shaft in, the shaft will go through some of the grease. That's why it's nice to have nails. So shaft can go in, gear can go in, and it just drops in is all that it does. Okay, so those are in. I can see this getting really tricky with these not kind of sticking in, because they can drop out very easily. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. Actually, I'm going to take and put some grease on this one. And this grease that I'm using, I use this grease, the same grease on all my RCs. It's marine grease. It's just cheap marine grease. I got the tube years ago, and I'm still using the same tube. That in, help to spread it around. On there, and you can see as I'm turning it that it's getting some of that blue onto the gears. You don't need a whole lot of grease on it. You really are just needing enough to coat the gears is all that it is. So put a pinch more on these. Make sure to get the hair out as I put them onto the other side. And spin that. You can kind of hear the grease kind of squishing around. That's okay. You want it to be doing that. Oops. And I took this back out because just kind of going over the directions, double checking. It says that on that copper or brass collar in there, to put some grease, because that's kind of a bushing, so you want to try to get as much lubrication on that as possible. Spin that around. Feels pretty good. All right, so now, this ear 2 850 little ball bearings. So this one gets some ball bearings too. They feel smooth. So if they don't feel smooth, and with this being brand new, they should be like butter silky smooth. Go ahead and clean them just to make sure. And I've actually gotten an inexpensive tool called a bearing blaster. They have them in a couple different sizes. This is the big one. But you open it up, you take the bearing, you set it on the point. This is the big one, so it doesn't really fit right. But then you put the lid on, and then you always want to go and set this on like an extra rag, because after you have the lid on with the bearing inside, then you can take like WD-40. Personally, I use this. It's a waterproof silicone one, so it'll kind of hold up a little bit better. I use this, and then you can put it in, spray it through a couple of times. It helps to clean the bearings, and then because this is also a lubricant, it also lubricates them also. And with this being the water resistant, it's also giving you the additional effect of, like the grease, it's water resistant, so it'll stand up better to water. So, but these feel smooth, so I am not worried about doing that. So, that one's going to go in like that. Yeah, when I was a kid, my mom told me that I would go and I would flip my cars over, and then I'd sit there and I'd play with the wheels, spin the wheels. I don't doubt it. In all honesty, I do not doubt it. Okay. There. That one. Pull this out. Get some really good. So that was, I believe, one of the bearings dropping out. It was. So get it back in there. The other bearing stayed in. Get that grease spread around in there. And it's good to do it now just to make sure that you're getting it spread around. So, right. I think that's all for that. Okay. And it is saying to put a little bit on that part too. So what I'm doing is to make sure that it's going to kind of get all the way around. I'm kind of putting it on a few spots on that gear because right now this top gear isn't touching anything. It's not touching here. The gear that's on the bottom side of that is what's touching this gear here. So just to make sure that it's getting good lubrication. So this is definitely going to be an open diff buggy. So, all right, so that looks like it's it for 2021. Ow. Is going to be closing it up. So make sure that this axle cup or drive cup, that the little pin that's sticking out meets it. And then when it does that, you're going to have to kind of turn it so that it lines up correctly with the gear that's there. And then like you just saw, it should just drop right on. So then you kind of spin it, feel, see if they feel good, feel smooth on both sides. Make sure those two pieces that we stuck in are still in place. And so now we should be able to start putting the screws in to hold it together. So we are going to be doing 3x12s. I think for now we're going to be done with our grease. So I'm going to put it away for now. Pull out our handy dandy micrometer. And we are needing 3x12. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there is going to be an odd screw. It's going to be one, possibly this one. It's going to be a finer thread. It's actually going to be going into one of the nuts that's going to go on the other side. So, but for the coarse thread, which will be going through into plastic, one's going to go up there. One's going to go down here. One's going to go in there. Back here. So those screws are in there. That's the locations where each one should go. Now, I don't know. I don't truly know if it makes that big of a difference. But it's how I do it, just in case it does. Is similar to how you would put on a tire, crisscross. So I tightened this one, and then I did this one. So now I'm going to go to this one. You do the next farthest one away. So tighten that down, and then tighten this one. And again, with being plastic, going into plastic, you tighten it down until it just gets really firm, and then maybe a quarter of a turn, because you don't want to risk stripping them for any reason. And handy dandy 20. That goes on. That's why you have a towel down. So you don't have to worry so much about that. Put that aside. Okay. Hopefully that will pick back up. Took me a minute to realize that it disconnected and stopped. So hopefully you guys didn't really miss anything. Got the 4 coarse thread screws put in, and then the fine thread screw. It's a 3x20. I believe is going to go through the front here, and then have a nut on the back. So I'm able to turn that. And with this having a nut, it's going to be kind of the same thing. Just tighten it down until it's good and snug. I mean, it's new. You don't have to really wrench on these things to make them good. So, all right. So there is that. So now, ooh, goody, 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 goody. All right. So now we're going to get to put this on. It's going to sit in like that, I believe. Anyways, we get to put that on. Set this aside for the moment. And now we are doing the rear suspension arms, step 22. So this looks like it's going to be really pretty simple. Not going to need any of those. So parts R1, R2, R3, R4. And comparing the shafts with each other to see if they, just making sure that they're going to be the correct size. Okay, so R1, you sit that way, you go on there. And now, because each one of these arms is different, I'm going to take them off the tree one at a time to make sure that I'm going to get them into the correct spot. So R1 is going to be up on that side. So start the pin. Slide down in there. There we go. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Okay. And actually, in all honesty, I do not like how snug that is. I want them to be free, have free movement. So I'm going to use one of my nail files and file it down just a little bit, basically just enough to take a little bit of plastic off. Sure, it's nice and smooth in there. I'm going to do the same thing to this, just to take a bit off, make sure that it's nice and smooth. Do it on both sides. And you can also do it that also. Just to help to smooth it out. Okay. So you are going that way. Kind of tricky getting them all lined up. So what you can do is take it and try to do it through backwards. Sometimes that can help to get the other side lined up. Just like that. So now I just very carefully pull it out, try not to move it, put it back through, and now it goes all the way through. Kind of interesting to see that how little movement suspension travel this has, at least compared to cars nowadays. They seem like they have huge amounts. All right, so the other side are two. Filing that down just a bit. Okay, so that way is R2. Like that. Another shorty. And you just kind of wiggle it around a bit, and then it goes through. Okay. So there is the uppers. So now R4. That one. All right, so R4 over here. Those actually look pretty smooth, so I won't mess with those. And just trying to push it on, it feels like it's a bit snug. Still a bit snug, but a little looser than what it was. Okay. So there's that one. Fortunately, with this one, you know it's going in the last spot. Find the hole. Come on, booger. Sometimes you can kind of hold it up and eyeball through it. Try to line it up. Like that. Let's see, that one, I like how that one moves. So I'm going to actually redo that other side. Yeah, I like how that moves. That's actually catching on the shaft up here. So if it's not that, it falls all the way down. That one sticks, and I don't like that. So I'm going to take, sand this down a bit more. Hopefully. It's a little bit freer. It's better to do this now while you're building than to try to do it, try to take things apart, because I've noticed that this is not exactly one that's what's the word I'm looking for? It's not forget what the word, but it's sections. You can take it apart and only work on one section. I don't think this one is really that way. So this is just using a pipe cleaner, is all this is. And it's just to clean out the holes, because I think there might be some of the dust in there. So that's getting looser. Do it one more time. This is mainly just because that other side was moving so nice.
It's your mother! It's your mother calling! It's your mommy! Is that my little precious? It's your mommy! Mommy's on the...
Sorry about that. I have the phone on Do Not Disturb, but there's a few people that can get through. My mom was one of them. it was. All right. So there is that. All right, so next is the C-hubs. C-hubs, axles, that portion. So you are going to be sitting that way. And I think we're going to end up using the rest of you for the rest of it. And those, and those, and those bearings. And that one looks empty, so we're just going to put it here out of the way. Grab this. Okay, so on these, this is step 23. These are, I guess, directional. They do go on one specific side or the other. So, because they have kind of a shape to them. Probably kind of hard to see, but there's kind of a wave shape. They're not perfectly straight. There's 3, so it goes over here. And again, I'm going to sand these down just to make sure there's no burrs or anything. That looks good. That looks good. That looks okay. Those holes, try to make sure there isn't any extra debris in there. Feels like that's going to go in nice and smooth. So we'll take our first pin, stick it through, and you can see now it's going to line up correctly, so we got the right side. All right, so now in this, put one bearing, 2 bearings, and these are both the same. So they can go in there, and they rotate nice and smooth. Open that up nice and wide. Is now dog bone, and they are called dog bones because they actually look like little dog bones. So, and it is saying to do a bit of grease on those. I'm leery on that one. That's going to be out in the dirt and stuff. We'll do a little bit. Mainly going to get the pins on the shafts or on the dog bones because that's the part that really does the moving. And I'm putting the grease on very light just so that it doesn't attract dirt and dust in that when we run it. Because then all that's going to do is just get in and just wear it out faster than what it needs to be. That slight little bit of play for the shaft up to its highest point. So it's nice and quiet, so should be good. So now we're going to do the other side. All these little tiny black pieces from cutting them off the trees and then snipping it off. And checking this one, looking to see, sand it just a bit, just to make sure there's no edges or burrs. Bottom one. All right, now, don't want to forget your dog bone. You get ever so slight amount of grease. Again, just on those pins. You don't want to get a lot in there in fear of attracting dirt and such. I didn't file the upper arm. It was apparently needing it. As you just saw, I had a hard time getting that piece in there. Just a little bit of travel, at least by today's standards. So that was step 23, 24. Putting some shocks on. All right. So the two shocks that we did earlier. All right. So don't think there's anything on there, but just make sure. Just going to throw it aside. It's Parks Tree B. A. D and 7. All right. So those BC1 320 bag C. So and a couple of nuts. And a couple of washers. And the small brass pieces, they are for the shocks, like what I said, what I figured they would be. So, washer, shock, or brass bushing, shock. Washer, spacer, that's what that big black thing is. And then through the shock tower and the nut. Cross wrench is trying to hide. All right. So now another booger. Another brass piece in the shock. Another one of you. Through like that. And let's see, either washers or nuts. So there is one side. So now we do the same thing again. So grab the screw, brass tube, shock, washer, and again, if you look real close at the washer, I'm trying to put the soft side against the shock. That's just how I'm doing it. Some people are OCD like me about it. Other people are not. So it's a matter of preference. Now, brass piece in the shock. Screw ready. Goes in just like that. All right, so now there is the rear suspension. All right, so now, goody. Now we get to put some power to this thing. So I'm going to set this aside for a minute. And got that Mabuchi motor. Oh, there's a rubber tube over the shaft on the motor to protect it, which is a good thing. Just really hard to get off. All right, so take that off. Okay, so that little disc that I thought was a clutch, it goes onto the motor. That's weird. So line it up with the two holes that I should be using. Because there's 3 holes, one there. There's another one over here. So I'm going to have to use those 2 holes. So put that on. Then we've got the pinion with one of these little guys. Because that is all metal, I'm going to put thread lock on it. Just because it is common for these little boogers to fall out. You can see how little, and that's like really close to the screen. See how little them little boogers are. So a bit of thread lock. Into the pinion. Looks like, according to the directions, I should be able to put this on and just be able to basically press it on all the way. Shaft flat. So I'm looking right there to see how well the motor, that pinion, is going to mesh up with that spur or that gear that's inside there. And so basically what I'm doing to make sure that it's going to be correct is I'm making it so that both sides of it are going to be kind of flat on each other. I don't know if you can see it in there, but they're basically flat. And that's going to make sure that the position of that pinion gear is good. You generally want to try to tighten these things down as much as you can without stripping them. Unfortunately, stripping them is a common occurrence. That's part of the reason why I hate them so much. Okay, 3x20, so that's going to be 2 of you. And 3x12, 2 of you. Okay, and that funky little piece, that one is going to be going on as well. It's going to be going on. Turn it so the pictures match. It's always, always, always a good idea. Just to help to make sure that you're doing it right. So, just like that. And I think that little thing is helping with the gear mesh. I think is what that's doing. The other one. So the other screw on the other side is going to go through that metal piece. And then into the motor. Okay, so the gear mesh looks good. You can kind of wiggle the motor a hair bit. You can see that I'm not going to bother trying to show you on camera because it's so minute. The camera won't pick it up unless I'm like that far away from it. But basically you can see there's some movement. I'm going to tighten it down with it moved out just a tick. So you can hear that it's still smooth. And that's exactly what you want. So now the motor is on there nice and tight. And yes, I did put it up so you can see the Mabuchi when it's on the car and running. So there's that. Let's put that back up there. So next thing is the cover. Use a couple of you. And A7. It even has Tamiya written on it. So I'm going to put that on. And it's going to pretty much only fit onto there one way. and be able to go flat. So do not force it. It just drops in. Okay, with any luck, I shouldn't need any more grease, so I'm going to put that away. Let a bit squeeze out on me. That's all right. So snug this cover down, doing one side and then the other, so that there's equal pressure. Can help to reduce the likelihood of it cracking, and possibly give a better seal, since it is supposed to be helping to cover and keep dirt and dust out of there. So we've built this entire piece just today. All right. So now we're going to do some stuff on the bottom of it. Bag A6. Extra one. There. Okay, so going back to this is step 26 now, and it's oh no, I take that back. Wait. It's saying BA6. So I would think that would be bag 6. I would think. All right. We need the rear underguard, as they call it. And basically the back bumper. All right. So now there, goes like that. So I'm going to take you. $8 millimeter. I'm going to double check. Make sure that those are actually 8 millimeters, not 10 or something. Good thing I checked, because they are actually 10. They're not 8. So I think that means that we are using bag D. So that means everything that was here in bag A, I can stick back up in there. Hope that wasn't all just spare. Well, I do kind of hope that there's spare stuff, but it seems like there'd be a lot. Could be mistaken, but there's a couple of zip ties in here, so got to be careful not to cut those. All right. So a couple of pins of some kind, a bunch of little screws, a couple of body, or a few body clips, 4 of them looks like. A bunch of little nuts, that. Alrighty. So I guess 4 of those are wheel nuts. All right. So now we need the 8s, I believe. Yes, 4 3x8s. So not those. I think it's going to be these littler guys. Yep. See, that's why you double check. That might have just been a spare screw that I was using at first, but never know. Might need it for something else. It's not done yet, so. So there is the lower skid plate and the rear bumper. Go on. Just like that. And 2 more. One goes there. So that little piece that we put in the transmission, that screw just went into one of those. And this screw is going into the other one that was off the back side of it. Booger. Come on. There we go. Might have to kind of wiggle it around to get it to line up properly. Fortunately, because it's just kind of a bar, it can flex pretty easy. So it's not a big deal. A little bit of flex, but that's okay because that's kind of an impact spot. So that's all right. So we're getting a big old back end on it. right. Oh, that's where those go. I think we're getting to an hour and a half, so I think I'm going to do one more step. And then I think I'm going to stop there. And with any luck, the next one should be the final video. I should be able to finish it up, get wheels on it, and theoretically drive it. I do still need to paint the body though. So leave me a comment if you guys want to see me painting the body, or if you just want me to surprise you, paint the body, and then reveal. So we are taking the chassis. Going to be going like that. And then the two oddballs, they go through. That. Like that. And two more, the 3x8s. They go through the shock tower and screw in on the back of the chassis. So that pretty well locks it all in place. And then the two pins that I put through, those get a lock nut on each one. Doesn't look like any kind of washers or any of that. So I need to come up with a name for this thing. All right. Because this is a tribute build to my dad. He went by the name of Lowell. Oh, that was his real name, I should say. He went by the name of Tiny. The screwdriver's too big. But I need to come up with a name for this. It is a tribute RC for him. So I need to figure out a name that I can do this. Most all the others kind of have a name. My slash, it's called the Patriot, because it's going to be red, white, and blue. My SC10 4x4 race truck, that one's called Ram Runner, because it is basically like a kind of like a Baja Runner type vehicle that they take out and they use. So that's why I named that one. You know what? We're going to do a last minute treat. Come on, catch back up. I don't know why it keeps on disconnecting on me. But anyway, so what you missed is plugged in the motor, got the battery plugged in, got the radio. So there's your treat, but it's not quite ready for the road, because always make sure to turn off and unplug your battery before turning off your radio, or at least turn off your car. Make sure of that, because disconnect those. There's still this section in there that we got to do. You know what? Heck with it. We're doing good. We're going to do that. I still am going to have to glue the tires and that on. So that will still be something to do next time. All right. So I think these are 12s. There's that. All right, so now I'm using those little boogers, those. You guys are going to go into there. So in the directions, it has the car positioned like this. So just make sure you're getting the right screws in the right holes, because if not, then it won't work. So these two pieces that I'm putting in right now, these are actually to do the battery door, which is what's going to be going down here. Now, here's a little tip. In those little battery door clips, there's a hole because there's a body clip that goes through it. Take your little wrench and put it on so that the cross on it is the same as what the hole is. So you know which direction your holes are, so that you can make sure that it's going to be facing the right direction. So this one's going that way. Just like that. Trim off all the ends or the rough stuff that we don't need. See, because this is the battery door. It's going to go on just like that. And then there's these little doohickeys here. Put the wires. Try to put the wires out of the way. So we're going to put one in, and then we're going to do the other one with the door, because that's just going to make it easier doing one at a time. So that one in there, take the door, drop it in. That kind of helps to hold it in place. And that one can go on. And the screw. So it makes that a little bit easier to do. just like that. And a couple of body clips. And these are honestly the smallest body clips that I have ever seen. Honest to goodness. But I will be doing a trick with them to make it so that they are a little bit easier to deal with. There's now that door is on. So I believe that is it. Yep. So the next thing is going to be doing the tires and mounting those on. And then after that, the only thing that's going to be left is doing the figure, the driver figure. This guy. I still need to paint him, but I still have that to assemble. And then that'll be sitting right there. I'm pretty sure. So, but there you go. So pretty much completed, or just about completed, Fox. So stay tuned for next time. It'll be the final one, or should be the final one. So post up in the comments if you guys want to see me how I paint the bodies. Tell you a few little tips and tricks that I do with that, and also how about doing the wheels. If you guys want some tips and tricks on how I do the wheels, also. Comment and let me know. Or do you guys just want me to surprise you? Go ahead and paint it, do the wheels, get it assembled, and then do a reveal. So post up in the comments what you want me to do. And I'll see about trying to do that. So until next time, catch you guys later. Keep your shiny side up.